Are the citizens of China as patriotic as Indians are? This question arises from the news that many Chinese soldiers are drafted into the military against their will. Is there any hatred towards the dictator like rule of the Chinese Communist Party in common Chinese people? What are the chances of a coup, civilian or military? A good question. So, so it's like this. I just spoke about the civil society as the frontier of warfare. In the case of China, they are a closed society. They don't allow Google, Twitter, Facebook, any of this Western social media giants. They have their own social media. And that is the reason why they are, to a large extent, immune to the regime change attempts that the West keeps engineering in places like India. In India, they try and manufacture opinion. They try and manipulate your perception about things, and so on and so forth. In China, that doesn't happen. In India, we have an education system that teaches you to hate your own country and to be ashamed of your culture. In China, the education system teaches students to be proud of being Chinese and to worship the Chinese Communist Party. Education is very, very, very powerful. It is a very powerful tool. Children are very susceptible to suggestion, and when you tell them something repeatedly, year after year, over and over again, it becomes something that is part of their psyche, and they can never get over that. So the Chinese, I would say, are way more patriotic than Indians are. Way more patriotic. Today, I would say that how many Indians are patriotic today? Look at that fellow Veer Das. And lots of people have asked me about him. Veer Das. He goes abroad and maligns India, makes fun of India. And there are so many people who don't have any love for the country. People tend to put their local interest above the national interest. My language is more important. My state is more important than the country. There is so much sentiment like this, right? And there is so much sentiment about my religion is more important than the country among certain sections of society. I mean, it is there. It is a problem in India. I think India is a very fragmented nation. India doesn't have a sense of unity. India doesn't have a sense of Indian identity. If you ask people what their identity is, they will say my identity is so and so state, my language, or whatever the hell there is. The Indian identity always comes second. So we are not taught to be patriotic as children. We don't know what patriotism is. We think patriotism is a bad thing. Many people say patriotism is bad. Nationalism is bad. And they try to create semantic differences between patriotism and nationalism, as if they even understand the same semantics and linguistics. But yeah, that's the thing. So I think there is a great lack of patriotism in India. I mean, I think that most of the people who watch this channel are patriotic. I know that. But overall, in the overall population, there is a significant lack of this sentiment. In the Chinese, they're all programmed by the education system, by the media, by the Communist Party, state machinery, etc., to be extremely patriotic. And there is a social contract in China. As long as the Chinese Communist Party is able to deliver high standards of living and victories for China globally, economic victories, diplomatic victories, maybe in the future military victories, as long as that keeps going, as long as the Chinese Communist Party keeps succeeding, people are going to support it and they're going to stay patriotic. So I think the citizens of China are way more patriotic than Indians because they have been programmed to do so. Chinese soldiers are drafted against their own will into the military. Yeah, that happens. Yes. So, but that is a minimal thing. I mean, the Chinese military is about what is the strength? 2 million, 3 million, something like that, approximately, give or take. So that is the strength of the Chinese military. The population is 1.4 billion. So that sentiment may be there in a small fraction, maybe 50% of the soldiers, or maybe 25% of the soldiers. It is not a nationwide malaise, right? So I think that there is a sentiment of devotion and obedience towards the Chinese Communist Party in the common Chinese people. The chances of a coup at this stage are minimal. The coup can never happen from the civilian side. It can happen either as a political coup within the Chinese Communist Party or as a military coup against the Chinese Communist Party. There can be no civilian coup in China. The Chinese, as of the chances of a coup right now are minimal, because the Chinese Communist Party so far is doing well. Now the economy is slowing down, etc. If that happens, there could be internal problems in the Chinese Communist Party. People may try and overthrow Mr. Xi Jinping, and that sort of coup may be engineered. So that may happen if the economic slowdown continues. So that is a possibility, sometime in the future.